Hey guys, so here we've got the RLBV2000 and the RLBV2001 hubs. So these are the parts of the ResiLinx that sit with your source devices. Commonly your source devices will be maybe 2 pay TV boxes, so 2 Foxtel boxes for example, but it will support up to 4 sources, so you can also go 2 Foxtel boxes, Apple TV and a Blu-ray player for example, and you can send it around the house to be viewed on any TV. So we're going to go through what you get in the pack. First of all, you get the hub itself. We've got all our inputs on the back, and then on the other side we've got our outputs. So these are the bits going out to our TVs. So you got the hub. You of course get an instruction manual here. You get 4 of these cables, which are audio cables. You get a power supply to power this. You also get a stand, both stance options. So this is a stand if you want to mount it vertically, so mount it like this, or you get the feet, rubber feet, if you want to mount it horizontally. Finally, you get a remote control which will select which source. So in our scenario we said S1, Foxtel Box 1, S2, Foxtel Box 2, S3, Apple TV, S4, Blu-ray player. So you can select all your sources via this remote control. How does it all work? So we're only discussing the hub part. So this is where you're going to have your Foxtel boxes and your Apple TV and your Blu-ray player. They might be in an equipment rack or they might be in the living room, wherever. And they'll all be plugging into the back here. So here are all your video inputs. Alright, so you've got number 1, 2, 3 and 4. One of the things to note about Foxtel is that actually from the Foxtel box, the component will be sent out at a lower resolution. So my recommendation is you use the HDMI output on a Foxtel and you use a Pro 2 converter and convert that HDMI output into a component output and then plug it in here. That way you can take advantage of the higher resolution. So HD component will support even 1080p, so full HD it will even support. So good connection, that one. So that's your video output. You'll need to get component leads separately. Here's the audio input for that first Foxtel box. As I mentioned, you get 4 of these audio leads included, so all of these audio inputs are covered. So in this case, we go audio input via a 3.5, and then at the other end, you get the white and red. The white and red is for analog audio, and then the orange one is for digital coaxial audio. Actually, just be careful because the orange and the red look very similar in color, so make sure that the slightly lighter orange colored one is going into your digital coaxial. So we've covered the video input, so we're getting video from our Foxtel box into here. We've covered how we're getting the audio into here, and we do exactly the same thing for each device, so we plug them all in. Now we get to the juicy part. Ignore this is just for firmware upgrades, so just ignore that. The infrared is the interesting part, where you have an infrared emitter, so it'll tend to be an RLIR700 or an RLIR800. You also have an RLIR900. So the differences are 700 will be 1 emitter, so for 1 device. A RLIR800 will have 2 emitters on it, so you can use it for 2 devices. And the final one, an RLIR900, that'll be used if you're using a ResiLinx audio system and a ResiLinx video system like this one. So you'll have 2 3.5 mils. So one will go in here, the other one will go into their audio system, which is the RLMRAKIT. We're not going to discuss that here. Now, the most common question that we get asked is how can this differentiate between Foxtel boxes? So the whole idea is you might have up to 8 different rooms. each room will control one Foxtel box only. So room number 1 might be the living room. That might be in control of Foxtel box 1, so just this Foxtel box here. Room number 2 might be the parents' bedroom, and that'll be controlling Foxtel box number 2. So each room will be in control of a different Foxtel box. If the kids' bedroom, for example, is looking at a Foxtel box, you've got to choose. Do you want Foxtel box 1 or 2? So the planning of what TVs control what Foxtel box is actually an important one. You don't want a situation where the parents in the parents' bedroom, they're changing channels, and the kids are in the living room and they're changing channels constantly, and they're both using the same Foxtel box, because then that will become annoying. So Foxtel box IR repeater number 1 here, we've got it by default. They're all set to number 1. By clicking down these dip switches, I can change what Foxtel box it's in charge of. So I flick down, say, number B, I flick that, I find this hard to do from this angle, I flick down B to number 2, so all of a sudden output B, which was the parents' bedroom, all of a sudden that one is now controlling this Foxtel box. Alright, clear as mud. Now, one of the things to remember is that if you're going to put 2 Foxtel boxes on top of each other, those emitters will be sending signal. The last thing you want is the emitters to be sending a signal and it to be read by the other Foxtel box also. So what you've got to do is, if you're going to put 2 Foxtel boxes on top of each other, get an RLACC160 and put it over the top of your IR emitter, and that'll cover it up so that the signals won't interfere. So if you're going to stack 2 of the same device on top of each other, use an RLACC160. If that doesn't fully cover the IR receiver, then just use some tape, electrical tape around it, so that it's fully covering the IR receiver on that Foxtel box, or whatever box. Alright, on the other side, so that's covering everything inputting into this device. On the other side, we've got outputs, and you'll notice A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Did I say that right? Anyway, there's 8 outputs, so you can cover up to 8 rooms. So the way it works is you have 2 data cables, 2 Cat5Es or Cat6s, going out to the living room. Living room we're calling it A, so here and here, these 2 leads will go out to the living room. B might be the parents' bedroom, so you plug in a lead here, and those 2 go into the parents' bedroom. So for every room of the house, you're going to have 2 data leads going to every room. You know, you might only use 2. There might only be the living room and bedroom. That's fine, but you can support up to 8 different rooms using this device. Now in the second part, I'm going to talk about, you've wired all of this up, you've got all your devices going in here, you've chosen your Foxtel boxes, so your Foxtel box 1 or 2 will be controlled in each room, so you've done that. You've run your cables out to the rooms, what do you do next? So we'll do a second video for that.